Real Talk New Jersey Real Estate Insights, the show where we bring you expert insights and valuable advice on real estate, home buying, and investing in New Jersey. I'm your host, Richard Bolt, and today we have a very special guest, Shaun Parker, an experienced real estate professional with Century 21 Alliance, who has been helping buyers and sellers navigate this challenging market in Burlington County. Shaun has a strong background in economics and a deep passion for real estate. And exciting news, a new baby on the way. We'll be diving into his journey, getting the latest market trends and tips for top tips for buyers and sellers and investors. So whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or just curious about the New Jersey real estate market, stay tuned. This is going to be an insightful conversation. Welcome to the show, Shaun.
Thank you. I appreciate the warm introduction. I'm looking forward to talking real estate, and looking forward to being able to help other agents and other home buyers, home sellers be able to navigate this shifting market, let's say.
Yes, for sure. So tell us a little bit about your journey into real estate. I understand you studied economics at Rutgers. How has your economic background influenced your approach to real estate market?
I think the one thing it's helped me with is I've realized that I feel I do better with investors than I do with the home buyers and home sellers sometimes. And that's just simply because investing in real estate is a numbers game.
Yep.
And so having that economics background, having the deeper knowledge of how the numbers all work, and how each part of the economic cycles affected, it helps me, I think, be able to just be a little bit more black and white with investors, and home buyers, home sellers, they don't want practical. Let's just say most home buyers and home sellers don't want practical. They are tied in on a more emotional level, whether it's they grew up in the home, or they raised, or they just got married and they're looking to buy a home, take their first home together, or something along that. There's a little bit more of an emotional tie there, a little bit more of an emotional connection. I would like to say I have some emotional intelligence. I would like to say that, but I feel like I understand the numbers. To me, they're much clearer to me sometimes than trying to understand what emotional level a home buyer and home seller is on. So that's my wife would accuse me of not being compassionate. So I try to navigate that as best I can. But
hopefully you got her some good Valentine's Day presents.
Yeah, actually, she surprised my sons and I with some candy on the kitchen island when we walked down this morning. So, but I got none of the candy. I just got to look at the card. That's all. My kids dominated the candy. But yeah, so I think that's, for me, sometimes I find it easier to connect with the investors, just because it is hey, here's the numbers, here's your projected rehab, here's the ARV. It's more of a statistical analysis, so to speak, than it is about the wants and needs of a homeowner, or the emotional connection or emotional tie-in to a certain property or a certain situation.
So tell me a little bit about the housing market in Burlington County. I'm expecting that there's been some significant changes recently.
Yeah, you're starting to see the inventory starting to open up. Just as an example, because I do both, right? I work with home buyers, home sellers, and investors. I was talking to a guy on my team yesterday, and Willingboro, New Jersey, for instance, right? Willingboro it's a mix between home buyers and home sellers and investors. What percentage, I don't know, but it may be at 60%, 65% like home buyers, home sellers, or homeowners, and maybe a 30 to 35, 40% investors. You've got 65, and now this is as of yesterday, so if you're quoting me, if you look it up today, I'm probably wrong, but there were about 65 properties that were active on the market in Willingboro yesterday, and then there were think honestly it might have been the same exact number. We'll say 65 that were active under contract or pending.
Okay.
So it's like you have a high inventory, but you also had it was the equal amount that was under contract and we'll call it trending towards closing. However,
Yep.
if it happens, or not. And that was just to kind of put in perspective, that 65 active properties was the same amount. Actually, was more than 2 townships, Lumberton and Medford, which are desirable areas in this, desirable towns in this area. It was more than those 2 townships combined. So, like what I've noticed in like Williamborough, for instance, the prices keep going because it's very investor friendly. The investors have been driving up the home price because you've got these properties that are fixed and flipped, and then next thing you know, they're going on the market, for $400,000-$500,000. And 5-6 years ago, those things, you might have been lucky if you're getting like two or 250 for some of those homes. Wow. So it's like, you've really seen a dynamic shift, and just that's just one example.
Wow. What sort of advice would you give to first-time people that are looking to get into real estate investing?
I would say know your numbers. That would be number one. Know your numbers and know your criteria. Because I think sometimes when you have investors that get into it, they they're new, they're looking for a deal. Yep. They want every transaction to be a home run. And I liken it to baseball terms. I have a baseball background, so it's like sometimes it's not always going to be a home run. And I think sometimes when their agents are getting involved, or not agents, I'm sorry, when investors are getting involved, their eyes grow big, and they get a little greedy in the sense that they want every flip to be a home run. And it's like,
sometimes
hey,
you have to hit some singles and doubles.
Yeah. And then as the market opens up, or maybe you get an off-market property that you're able to get slightly below value, or the market shifts a little bit in your favor, and next thing you know, you're able to turn maybe a double into a triple or something like that. But I think it's it's just knowing your numbers and having a rough understanding of what your costs may be going in. And like the one thing I've learned is you also want to be aware of your contractors, right? Not necessarily who they are, but just where they're from, right? My brother is a contractor, and he'll tell me that he'll go to certain towns, maybe they're a lower socioeconomic background in a certain town, and they're going to fight him over every price he throws at him, no matter how high or low it is. They're always going to try to squeeze him. Yeah. And he said, then he goes to other ones that are more well off socioeconomically, and he said that they don't even bat an eye, and they're just like, okay, we're good. Yeah. And so it made him realize that and for him, sometimes he was trying to price his jobs based on the lower socioeconomic areas. Yeah. And it made him understand, like, oh, okay, so the reason why I bring up contractors is because sometimes you may have a contractor that comes from a higher socioeconomic area. Mm-hmm. Therefore, he's charging higher prices. His going rate's a little higher. And so therefore, when you're going into an investment property, he may tell you, if you're trying to subcontract a lot of this stuff out to, whether it's your HVAC or whether it's your electrical, whether it's your plumbing, whatever, they may have higher costs than someone that's just as qualified but works in a lower socioeconomic area that can give you we'll call it a discounted rate or a discounted price, but essentially it's just what the going rate is in their area.
So basically building a good framework of, team players that you develop a relationship with, and going in there with the best offers so that you can make it better.
Yeah, and also you want to know your area too. Know your target. Know your we'll call it your out sale, right? Know your out sale target, or like target demographic or genre, however you want if you're trying to adhere to first-time home buyers, or if you're trying to adhere to, depending on what the area is, if you're trying to adhere to, keeping up with the neighbors, right? You want to just make sure that you're not over improving the property, because you're just not going to get the value back.
You never want to be the nicest, biggest home on the block. It looks great. You can pat your chest and be like, oh, I'm the big king. But then when you go to sell it, it's like, okay, they did that to a house in my neighborhood where the builder built this great big mansion in it, and in the neighborhood that it's a nice neighborhood, but the houses are more like 70s 80s style, and it looks like a 2020 big mansion, and it's kind of out of place in there. Right behind it there's a development that's those are the houses that are there, but on the street that it's on, it kind of looks out of place. So. Yeah,
and I guess one more piece of advice I would have, I know you only asked me for one, and I'm kind of going on a tangent, but and I think it's for the investor. I think it's for the agent also. It's just do your homework, know your area, know your market, because it allows you to, move and pivot quickly.
Yeah.
Right. So if I know, hey, a certain area, the going rate is 250 in a certain area for investment property, and I see one pop up at 220, right? Okay, that's something we need to pay attention to. Now, hey, it could be falling over. There could be the whole back. We just saw one yesterday. The whole back of the house was gone. From the front, it looked like it was fine, but on the back, there was a fire, and the whole back of the house was had disappeared.
Yeah.
But it's just, if you do your homework and if you know what you're looking at, then when you get an alert, because I sign myself up for alerts. I actually, every morning, that's one of the things I do, is I'm giving you alerts for these certain areas that I've set up searches for, just for myself. So when it comes through, I'm able to really quickly, some of them I'm sharing with my team and saying, hey, is this, I haven't looked at the numbers, check, scrub this one, hey, scrub that one. These are ones that may fit based on the price point and the location. Right?
That's perfect segue into my next question. I was going to talk about the integration of technology into real estate and how that's ever evolving. How are the digital tools transformed your daily operations, and what emerging trends do you foresee impacting the New Jersey market?
I think in the one thing is just the speed at which a transaction can be done. It was a short sale offer a couple weeks ago, and I'm writing it up, because we were doing it in a coffee shop, and I didn't have a printer. The woman was out, anyway, so I am writing the contract up, pen and paper, and I'm sitting there, I'm laughing about it, because I'm in this coffee shop in the corner store, and I'm writing this contract up, pen and paper, and it's like, huh. I was like, I don't know if I've done this before. I've typically, I'll just type them up, but it was just one of those things that it needed to be done in the moment. I was able to, I had to go across the street and pay the guy there's a travel agent across the street. I had to go across there. I paid him $20 to print me out 15 pages for the contract.
Yeah.
There was just one of the, but, that was reverse technology. But, I just think, my phone, I have my phone, I remember the first contract I ever did. I did it on my phone because it was we used Dotloop, and I had the app for Dotloop, and I'm doing it on my phone, and I made a ton of mistakes, and I remember my broker telling me, he's like, hey, great job. He's like, do me a favor next time though. He's like, because he wants to look over every contract before it goes out the door.
Yeah.
He's like, great job. Look, there's some error, some mistakes. We, whatever, and, fix this, and this, and I told him I did it on my phone. And he's like, do me a favor next time. He's like, if you're gonna put together a contract, just sit down at a computer and do it. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So, I haven't written a contract on my phone since. I will review contracts, because as the manager of the office and the associate broker, it's my job to review the contracts that are coming in and out of the office. So I will review contracts on my phone, but I won't write them anymore on my phone. So but it does, and you talk about technology, I have a hotspot on my phone. So there's two things I bring to work with me every day. Well, let's say three. One is these, my AirPods, because
Yep.
I like to walk and talk, and I hate to have the phone stuck to my ear. Um, Number two is my laptop, and number three is I'm still old school in the sense that I have a green like calendar book. Right?
Okay.
It's yeah, I still use that. It kind of it keeps me grounded. My phone is too distracting.
Yep.
You know, it's like even though they have different settings on the iPhone, it's too distracting for me. So I still try to, I have my to-do list. I like to check things off, right? It helps me feel accomplished. So I'm still having things on my to-do list, like my calls for the day, my calls for the week. Like I have it, on mine. I transitioned to a newer, like this year I went to one that's the whole week is laid out in front of me, because before I had one, it was 2 pages. It was like one day and the second day. And I found I was missing some things because I didn't have the whole week out in front of me. So having the whole week out in front of me helps me kind of just, line things up. But back to what I was saying, the three, having those three things with me, well, I guess my phone would be the fourth, but because I always have my laptop with me, I will pull over to the side of the road. If I need to do something really quick, I'll pull into a parking lot, pull over to the side of the road. I will connect to the hotspot on my phone, and I will, I can't tell you how many times I've done that, and I'm okay with that. Like to me, like my car is my mobile office, and I'm good with that. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to make sure, when I got into real estate, I went out and purchased a laptop because I didn't really have one before. It was more of a desktop.
Yeah.
So I made sure I got myself a laptop, and and that's been a saving grace for me.
Absolutely. How about for couples looking to invest in real estate as a means to secure their financial future? What key financial planning tips would you offer?
Well, see, there's one that's controversial, and one I would say that the HELOC, the idea of the HELOC is controversial in the sense that some people will tell you you don't want to leverage your primary residence because if you lose, if you're underwater, you could be in big trouble. And you're not only losing a property, you're losing your roof over your head, right? And then you have other people that they'll leverage their main residence, their primary residence, to be able to pull the equity out to invest. So I feel like you just got to know one way or the other how you want to go with that, because you're going to be a little slower if you're going to leverage an investment property per se. It may take you some time to build up that equity, and you just have to know your risk tolerance. I think it's important to know your risk tolerance. Like my wife and I are on polar opposites. We're on opposite sides of the spectrum with our risk tolerance. So, so for her and I, sometimes it's trying to find that common ground, that middle ground. And I think for anyone looking to get into real estate, whether it's a couple, whether it's a single person, whether it's a partnership, whatever it may be, you have to start to understand each other's risk tolerance, and then I think then you have a better idea of what you're willing to do and not willing to do. Because as the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. Yeah. Right. And I think that goes for a lot. It's so very true in investment real estate, but not everyone's willing to take that risk. Some people are very risk averse, and they don't like the squeeze, because when you're taking a big risk, you can feel that pressure, you can feel that squeeze.
Awesome. So now with the new baby on the way, how are you balancing your work life?
I don't know. Let's just say, I feel like my mantra has become embrace the chaos. That has been my mantra. I'm okay. Like in playing baseball, the one thing I feel like I did a good job at, and obviously I better, not always, but it was, being back to a corner, kind of being in a chaotic situation, and being able to just slow myself down. So sometimes it's almost like it's too boring in my life if there's like nothing that's like if there's not like chaos swirling around me. It's just like I get bored. So on top of managing this office, on top of having 2 young kids already and then a third on the way, and I coached soccer in the fall for my both of my sons, actually 2 different age groups. I'm not sure why I did that, but I just love spending the time with them. And then I coach t-ball in the springtime.
That's awesome.
So I don't know, I look at it this way with my kids, right? They're only going to be so young for so long.
Exactly.
I want to make sure I spend that time with them. Yes, I want to be successful. Yes, I want to, want the office to be successful. I want the brokerage to be successful. But at the same time, I have to understand that, for me as a father, especially a father of boys, and I don't think it would matter if it was a girl or not, but I am providing that example for them.
Yep.
So amongst all the chaos, I try to do my best to, remain level-headed. And I'm more of a, back me in a corner. Like that's when, put it this way, people I think feed off of light energy or dark energy, right? Which way you want to go. And I don't necessarily do well with the light energy. I don't. I perform better when I'm backed into a corner, and so when I'm, clock's ticking and I've got to make a choice or make a decision or do something, like that's when I feel like I'm able to kind of maybe withstand the pressure, withstand the heat, and be able to do things that maybe others, I don't know, get flustered by. So that's why when you talk about him, that's kind of for me, like embracing the chaos like that. I'm okay with that because that makes me, I don't know, it keeps me on my toes, and it makes me kind of work. I like to work through problems, so like challenges, problems, like I love it. I love that. Love challenges, and I love problems because it's an opportunity for me to, expand my horizons, for me to stretch my comfort zone.
Great. You have any final thoughts for our audience today?
I think it's as far as like investment real estate goes, I think for me, like that was part of the reason why I got into real estate, was to secure a future through investment real estate. And so I think if it's something that you want to do, something that intrigues you, maybe do some homework on it before you jump in. Just have a plan, right? There's always, no matter what plan you have, you're always going to have to improvise. You're always going to have to readjust and restructure. But as long as if you have a plan going in, you then can adjust. But it's hard to adjust if you have no plan going in. So whether you're looking at single family detached, or you're looking at condos, or you're looking at, multifamilies, or, you're looking at cosmetics, or you're looking at something a little bit more, down to the studs. Like it's okay that everyone has their own idea. And I think that's okay as long as you go in with a plan. And so, that would be my advice to anyone, that if you're looking to get into it, just have a plan going in, and, just know you're not as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as you think you are. You're somewhere in between.
Yep.
So,
how can our audience reach out to you, Shaun?
So I'm all over social media. I don't do TikTok. It's not that I don't want to do TikTok. It's just I don't know. My wife always yells at me. I had before it was I was never in any pictures other than the ones my wife took. So I've gotten better at that. But you can find me. It's all of my handles are all the same. Whether it's but it's Shaun, SHAUN J Parker, and that's on Facebook. That's Instagram. That is X or Twitter, whatever you want to call that, and then LinkedIn as well. And then now also on YouTube, but I don't have much. My team and I were talking about actually putting more content on YouTube to try to I don't know, we go into some very, let's just say, eye-opening properties, and it's, I feel like people want to see one or the other. They want to see like people want to see the McMansions, the multi-million-dollar homes, or they want to see the train wreck.
Yeah.
So, we go into the train wrecks a lot of times, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes I feel like, sometimes the cobwebs are not always the friendliest thing to walk through, but so we talked about maybe putting together some videos and some video content that can show people what we do, and some of the properties we go into and some of the stories. It's always a story. But with myself and a couple of the other agents on my team, it's always a story of the properties we've gone into and the things you see. And so we thought maybe that it could be some good content, because it's not, and nothing, but it's not your, I don't know, 1,700 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath home, which is like, updated and everything's nice and all the pictures in order. We're going holes in the wall, holes in the floor. My one agent was telling me he was at a property a couple weeks ago and he's standing there taking video, and all of a sudden he felt something on his foot. He looked down, there were mice running over his shoes, and he said he almost lost it. He almost ran out the house. So
yeah, I've seen some disasters. I remember an email going around at my old company, and it was pictures from appraisal. Some of the crazy things, like a toilet smack like right dab in the middle of the basement, just a toilet sitting in the middle of the basement.
Yeah, you definitely, and unfortunately too, if you're dealing with investors, you're not always going to the nicest areas.
Yep.
So, obviously, you got to be careful, but I don't know. I just embrace that. Make sure, hey, I'm still the same person I am. And just make sure you always got, just looking over your shoulder and being safe. But so some of these properties, it's just they're not in nice areas, and they're not only not in nice areas, but they're not even taken care of. So those are just things you just got to be careful of. But at the end of the day, it keeps the days interesting, to say the least. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
well, I've enjoyed having you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. I appreciate the invitation, and it's my pleasure. And again, and my email is actually the same as well as my handles. My email is shaun.j.parker@gmail.com. If anyone has any questions or any, if they're just looking for information on how to get started in investment real estate, would love to help you out. Or you can call me on my cell. Call me or text me, 609-864-4825. I'm put it this way, I'm always working and I'm never working. So that's the one thing I love about my job is, it allows me the ability to, the flexibility to be here, there, and everywhere, and, run an office and sell real estate and be with my family and, be on vacation, whatever I need to do, and still be able to do my job.
Awesome. It's been great having you, Shaun.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Richard.
You too.
Bye-bye.